The Bible isn't just a book of random stories. It's 66 different books that come together to tell one story. An incredible one about God's love for us. And now for an amazing story, inspired from the book of 1 Samuel, chapters 18 to 20.
David had been chosen by God to be the next king of Israel, but that didn't mean he would be king right away. In fact, Saul was still king.
Everyone better do what I say.
So David chose to be patient and trust God. He even helped Saul by defeating the terrible giant Goliath.
Very impressive, my boy. I'm giving you a high rank in my army.
David did everything Saul asked. He also became best friends with Saul's son, Jonathan.
You don't need to go back home to Bethlehem. Father wants you to stay here with us at the palace. Wow.
Now, Jonathan was next in line to be king, and he must have known that as David became more popular, people might want David to be king. But instead of being jealous, he put his friend David first in everything.
Here, take my robe. Then people will see how important you are. Are you sure? Take my belt too, and my sword. Oh, and my bow and arrows. This is too much. You're worth it. Thank you, friend.
David continued to lead the army into battle. He did so well that people ran out of the town singing and dancing when they saw Saul and David coming.
King Saul is like amazing. But David is like totally even more amazing.
King Saul became angry.
Next thing, David will try to take the kingdom away from me.
Saul was so jealous, he even hurled a spear at David. He told Jonathan and all his servants to kill David. Horrified, Jonathan went and warned his friend.
Find a place to hide. I'll talk to my father and find out what's going on.
The next morning, Jonathan faced King Saul.
Don't harm David. He's helped you. He put his own life in danger to kill Goliath. The Lord used him to win a great battle. Why would you kill him?
Well, yep, good points. You can be sure David won't be put to death.
Whew. Jonathan and David were both relieved, and for a short time, all was well. But then, Saul went back on his word. Once again, he tried to kill David. David escaped and reached Jonathan.
I haven't done anything to your father. Why is he trying to kill me? He won't do it. He promised. Plus, he tells me everything, and he hasn't said a word about hurting you.
Well, that's because he knows we're friends.
This is terrible. I'll do anything I can to help.
There's a feast tomorrow, and I'm supposed to eat with King Saul, but I'll hide instead. Tell your father I've gone home to my family. If he says it's okay, then I'm safe. But if he's angry, it means he still wants to hurt me.
Gotcha. But whatever happens, please be kind to me. I know the Lord will defeat all your enemies someday, but promise to always be kind to me and all my family.
Yes, of course. I'll do it.
Shake?
Shake. The two young men promised to always be friends, no matter what might happen next.
How will I know what Saul says? Hide out in the field by that huge stone. I'll come out and pretend to practice shooting arrows and send a servant after them. If I tell him the arrows are on this side, that means you're safe. But if I say the arrows are far beyond, then go. That means my father wants to hurt you.
Field, stone, arrows. Got it. The next day, King Saul and all his household sat down to a festive meal. He noticed that David was missing, but by the next evening's banquet, figured he had returned.
Excellent quail. Too bad the bird couldn't live to appreciate this honey glaze. Am I right, David? David?
The king glanced around the table to find that David was missing.
Why isn't David here?
David's family is offering a sacrifice to honor God. He asked me if it was okay to go, and I said yes.
I knew it! You're on his side. You should be ashamed of yourself. As long as he's alive, you will never be king.
Why do you want to put him to death? What has he done?
Saul was so angry he couldn't think clearly. He even threw a spear at his very own son. Jonathan left immediately and the next morning hurried out into the field. He could see the large stone standing tall in the distance.
I sure hope David's there.
He spoke loudly to the young servant with him.
I'm going to practice shooting. Run and find the arrows after I shoot them.
I'm on it.
As the boy started to run, Jonathan notched an arrow in his bow and released it. When the boy reached the place where the arrow had fallen, Jonathan shouted out,
Whoa, the arrow went far beyond you, didn't it? Hurry up, run fast, don't stop.
The boy picked up the arrow and returned it to Jonathan.
Here, take my bow, go back to town.
Yes, sir.
Once the servant had left, David stood up from his hiding place behind the stone. Jonathan hurried out to meet him, and David threw himself on the ground before Jonathan, bowing low 3 times.
I'm so sorry. My father.
I know. It's not your fault. David and Jonathan hugged each other and wept.
Go in peace. In the name of the Lord, we've promised to be friends. He will be a witness between us and our families forever.
There was nothing more to say. David left the city to hide from Saul, and Jonathan went home. Now, Jonathan could have allowed his father to kill David and maybe become king himself, but instead, he chose to trust God and put his friend first.